welcome back to another episode of Card Talk, a podcast where we spend just a little bit of time talking about cards from Lord of the Rings, the card game. I'm your host, Dave Walsh.
And I'm Grant Thompson, just along for the ride.
And Ted missed out on our recording. This is the most episodes we've recorded in one sitting here in a long time, Grant. So we have Ted to thank for that, for not showing up. So... in all seriousness, though, Ted he's just not able to catch us right now, and he's got things going on. Ted's still part of the show, so we'll see Ted again, and he'll be ready, Teddy. So, yeah. So, who else is going to be ready?
Our patrons.
Our patrons, as always, our patrons are always ready. So if you want to become a patron and join to help us, pay for hosting costs and all that other stuff that we have that goes into making a podcast, like giveaways and things going out to the community, that would be amazing. All you'd have to do is join us here at patreon.com/cardtalk2018, and you can see all the levels and what we do for all our patrons.
Yes, and we also need you to help pay for a new Card Talk HQ, because unfortunately it's no longer a viable place where we are set up.
I know. Maybe by the time this airs, I will already have been out of my house. I don't know. So we're in the process of just starting the move. So we're getting all of these shows in now so that I don't have to record while I'm trying to move. So who knows? But yeah. You know who never had to move in all his life?
Go on, then.
Well, I don't know. I was hoping that maybe Elrond wouldn't have to move, but...
Well, Elrond was part of the war, so I'm pretty sure he did have to move.
Okay, he had to move now. But he does have a nice house there in Imladris, right? At Rivendell.
Oh, definitely.
So
it was good for him.
It was good to him, yes, it was. And then he sailed off sailed off
to the forgotten, the undying lands.
To the undying lands from the Grey Havens. So, Grant, I guess you should talk about the card that we're going to be discussing on today's episode.
Well, we're going to be discussing a character from the Road Darkened Saga box set.
Yeah.
And bearing in mind, we have been talking a lot about healing cards, so can people guess which character I'm talking about? Please leave your comments down below.
I think they figured this one out a little easier than some of the other ones because we already talked about him.
Yep. David made a nice segue into saying that Elrond has a nice house, and that's exactly who we're talking about. Ally Elrond, the 3 cost, 3 willpower, 2 attack, 3 defense, 3 hit point, ally, Noldo healer. At the end of the round, discard Elrond from play. Response: after Elrond enters play, choose 1, heal all damage from a hero. Discard a condition attachment, or each player draws 1 card.
So, I'm yawning here. We've done a lot of these episodes together, but one of the things that Grant and I and Ted all sat down and talked about is kind of as we moved into the new year, wouldn't it be awesome to talk about cards that heal? I think that with all the craziness, health issues going around all the world with the pandemic and stuff, we thought, why not talk about healing? As the new year starts, what a great 2020 was what it was. And so, we might as well talk about 2021 being the year of the healing. So Elrond is one of the few cards that is traded a healer. So I think that that's pretty good. And so let's spend some time talking about Elrond. Grant, what's your initial thought?
I like Elrond.
Right.
He's great for what he does. He's like a mini bomb. You drop him in, and he's always going to make an impact on the board state. He costs 3 low resources, so he's a bit on the expensive side. Not as expensive as Gandalf, but he's equal to Galadriel for when she comes into play, the ally version.
Right.
So, the difference between the two is Galadriel allows you to rearrange your deck after you look at the top 5 and put a 2-cost or 3-cost attachment into play for free.
Yes, 3 cost, I think.
Yeah.
Up to 3 cost.
Yeah. And then obviously Elrond does one of his 3 effects, which each player drawing a card, discarding a condition attachment, or healing all damage on a hero. So, looking at the healing aspect of this card, he's like a healing herbs when entering play.
Right. He's a when entering play healing herbs, right?
Yeah. Now, me and you've already discussed a lot about is it worth the cost at that point for healing versus, say, using Eorith or using Warden of Healing.
Right.
But his other 2 effects, discard a condition attachment, and each player drawing a card. At higher games of play, each player drawing a card is phenomenal. At discarding a condition attachment is very useful because there's very little in the way of discarding condition attachments.
I know. That's good. I think that a lot of the discarding conditions are a lot. I think it's what Minor of the Iron Hills.
Minor of the Iron Hills, Bulwark of the West.
The one we did with Peace and Thought. That goes on a quest card. Heal, discard a condition attachment.
Yeah.
Is that one? Wait, maybe not.
No, it's not. You've got the Power of Orthanc.
Long Defeat is I was thinking of. That's not one, right?
No.
Okay. Ethelos.
You've got Athlas, Power of Orthanc. So there's a few condition removals, but there's not many.
Right.
And that in itself is pretty dicey when when you're playing like the Saga expansion and you've got something like like the corruption card that turns a hero into an enemy.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So
Secret Cultist, I think, that's the latest cycle has that one in it. But
yeah, you've got the Secret Cultist, which I think turns an ally into an enemy.
Right.
But me and Matt earlier, well, as of recording this earlier today, just played Breaking of the Fellowship.
Right.
And we had to scoop the first run because of the fact that we ended up getting the first couple of turns, ended up losing a hero to this corruption card that turned one of our heroes into an enemy, and we just couldn't deal with it, so we ended up scooping that run and then went on to play a second game pretty much straight away.
Right, it's an auto scoop, right?
Yeah, pretty much that's what it was. But again, the condition removal can be key.
Right. I mean, is it Fallen into Evil? Is that the card you're thinking of?
I think so.
Loses the hero card type and gains the enemy card type?
Yeah.
And then with its threat equal to its willpower and engagement cost equal to its threat cost, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's so. There's only one of those in that deck or in that scenario, but it's frustrating when you get it.
Oh, definitely.
What I like about this, and we've been talking all night about healing, but what I like about this card is that yes, you heal all damage on a hero, right? And so that is like Ethelos and and healing herbs, and we've talked about those cards for 0 and for 1, or for 1 and for 0 respectively. And then, but the fact that this gives you a choice of condition, because there's conditions that get attached all over all over the place. There's conditions in the Angmar Awakens cycle, I think, right, that weather attachments that attach to quest cards, and like there's, even in the core set, there's Caught in a Web, which is super annoying. Even now, for me, who's somebody who's collected the whole game and has played Passage Through Mirkwood, a million times, even if I get Caught in a Web, it's still annoying to me. So to be able to discard that, in a grief move, for people who don't know what grief deck is, that means like you're playing it kind of competitively against the person you're supposed to be playing cooperatively, so you're doing things against that person. Like you can discard a test of, or discard a unexpected courage, because that's a condition attachment. That's a funny way of playing it. Not that you would play that in a serious game. But
just
then,
don't, because
right.
if you want to play with this player again, don't do it.
Right. And then, but then so I guess what I'm getting at is the healing is, you may not need the discard the condition attachment, you may not need, but if you can't use those, then you're going to draw a card. And then having a 3 willpower and 3 defense ally on the board is great, right? Like, I mean, the fact that Elrond is, has all those stats make him really good. So when you think about the 3 cost as healing goes for like self-preservation or whatever, like, yeah, self-preservation is attachment healing that happens regularly. Do you need that? Maybe on certain heroes you do, but not all the time. Like, you can bring in Elrond for 3, the same amount it would cost for that person, and heal all damage on a hero, but then you still get the willpower and the defense and the like whatever you need at that time. In terms of ally healing, yes, there is the Warden, there is Eorith, but the Daughter of Nimrodel, like, that costs 3. What are you going to play? The Daughter, or are you going to play Elrond? I think you play Elrond. Like, I think that, I mean, of course it depends on if you're playing a Sylvan deck, maybe you put the Daughter in the Daughter.
No, you put Elrond in a Sylvan deck if it's the choice between the Daughters of the Nimrodel or Elrond.
Yeah, and that's
the conscious choice of putting in Elrond.
Right. But I think in a Sylvan deck you put a Sylvan Tracker in before you put in Elrond, right? Because yes. And that's the beauty of the game, is that you have these choices that you make. And I think that Elrond has kind of, the Road Darkens was the second of the second of the saga boxes for the LOTR saga. I think that, for 5 years, however long it's been out, I think that it stood up as that ally. Even though it comes into play and has to leave play at the end of the round, like, you can still use it for a very good tail if you pair it with leadership, because you can do all those things that you would do with ally Gandalf, you can do with ally Elrond, right? So there's ways to take advantage of Elrond ally. Now, I guess the biggest issue is, does the hero version outshine, or because there's a hero of this character, do you play the hero more than you play the ally? So that's my question, Grant. What do you think? Which one's more likely to play?
For me, I'm more likely to play the hero version.
Right.
Mainly because of the fact of the way my play style is. Mm-hmm. If I'm going into a quest where I know I'm going to need some condition removal, I might not run Hero Elrond. I might run Ally Elrond instead, if there's a lot of conditions to remove from. So, for me, it all depends on the scenario I'm running and potentially what could come from that scenario. But I like them both. I think they've both got merit.
Yeah, Elrond is arguably one of. He's not argue. I think that in general, the community thinks that Elrond is one of the strongest heroes in the game. Coupled with his ring, Vilya, you really can't argue the strength of Elrond as a hero, and I think that really warps his value. Vilya is such a strong card paired with him that it just really, I don't know, it really warps how good the ally version is, and I think the ally version is really good. I don't use the hero Elrond very often. That's not because I don't believe that he's awesome. I know that he's a great hero. His healing, his extra healing that he gives everybody. We've had 2 episodes on Elrond on Card Talk. So like he's a very great, awesome hero. But I think that his ally is kind of the baby brother that doesn't get the attachment, but is still really good. If you're looking for something, this card can give you that something because it's versatile and it works just one. It is just for one round, but like I think in a deck where you have 2 lore heroes. This isn't a horrible include, even if just for the stats. And then to be able to draw a card, if not any of the other stuff. The other stuff I feel is there just in case you're in trouble. So you're getting 3 for 3 willpower. That's good, and then you get to draw a card besides. Like if I had an event that said spend 3 to, add 3 willpower and draw a card, that card would get used, I think. If I said, spend 3 to add 3, add 3 willpower and draw, and remove a condition, or like all those options, I think that people would definitely use that card. But then if I say, here's a card that not only can add 3 willpower, but instead of willpower, if you don't need it, it can defend, and you can chump it, and you shouldn't feel guilty about chumping this guy. I think that that's great too. Like these allies that stay around for just one round, Elrond, Galadriel, Gandalf, like I think that you shouldn't feel guilty just chumping him. And there's something to be said, early game in the 2nd or 3rd round when you're trying to get set up and all of a sudden you have Elrond in your hand and you can defend, and it's like, great, I'll defend, perfect, boom, and you defend, and then you can use your heroes to do other stuff. I think that that's really good. And again, not that it's awesome, I'm not trying to overstate it, but I think that there's definitely some merit there. So what do you think of all of that, Grant?
I agree with what you've said.
I'm still waiting for the card that you and I disagree on. We didn't agree too much on Done here, but
there's been a few cards we haven't quite agreed on. But that's like the beauty of the game.
Right. I just think that this card gives you options, and I think in this game, options are what you need, right?
Oh, definitely.
So, sometimes you don't need options, but to have a card that gives you options is really good. And then that'll help you as a player to decide, what you want to do. Like, do I need condition removal? And I won't play this card just because it's condition removal. I'll play it because it's Elrond, because it's an ally, and then I'll see the card draw as a bonus. So, I don't know. And then again, a healing, it just seems like the healing is like the 3rd. I don't know.
Oh,
maybe,
definitely.
I don't know. Maybe the condition removal is the 3rd, because it's not often when I'm playing solo that I need condition removal. But when you need a condition removed, you need it. So.
Oh, definitely. For me, I think for higher levels of play, you play Elrond for the card draw. In 3 or 4 player games because you're literally paying one resource per card.
Right. Yeah. I mean, in higher player counts, this guy is great. But then in higher player counts, you're running the risk of somebody else running Hero Elrond. So,
True.
yeah, I mean, it's
But that's where deck coordination comes in.
exactly. So, I don't know. I
Are we
like
ready
this.
to bring this guy?
Well, of course, we want to talk about the artwork. So,
True enough.
what do you think of the artwork?
I'm not as big a fan of this artwork. I like it, but it's not the best artwork I've seen in the game. I think Alan Douglas has done a good job, but for me personally, it's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, I was gonna say that this reminds me kind of Native American Elrond, and stereotypical Native American Elrond. Like it's like I feel like this is something out of a movie in the 1950s. That's like that they're like, here's what's going on, and and so I'm not as big of a fan of it, and I think that a lot of it may even be just the background. Like it just seems
that, and the fact that it seems like even when you're looking at it up close, it seems a bit blurred.
Right. Yeah, it's just kind of a strange. It seems a little bit out of place for the type of cards we're used to seeing. I do like the brightness of it, which is funny because when I draw the card, I know what I'm drawing. Like it comes out and I don't have to like double take. Like I know like that yellow right there by the icon is lets me know that. So yeah, and I mean, I was gonna say, what do you pair Elrond with? But because he only stays in the game for one round, it's not like you're putting him in a he doesn't have to go in an Noldor deck. He could go in any deck that you have with lore access. I mean, you may want to think about having 2 lore heroes or a way to accelerate lore resources, because 3 in lore, maybe a little challenging to get to because you're using, one cost to do a lot of other stuff a lot of times, drawing and healing and things like that. But so I think that this card fits into a lot of card or deck archetypes pretty easily without having to worry about trait matching and things like that. So
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. Okay, so should we ring this guy?
Yeah, let's ring this guy.
Okay. So for anybody who doesn't know or who's new to the show, we have a highly scientific yet arbitrary system where we Elrond a card on a scale from 1 to 10, where 1 ring is the one card to rule them all. That's one of the best cards in the game. And then 10 rings is the card that we throw back into the fiery chasm from whence it came. So, Grant, what do you think of Elrond?
I like Elrond. Do I reach for him for every deck? No. Is he cost effective? Effectively, yes. I'm giving him a 4 rings.
4? Wow. Okay. Elrond.
He's cost effective for what he does, but there's other options available to do pretty much everything that he does. Maybe it's slightly cheaper. So that's why he's got a 4 from me.
Wow. Okay. I think that while I spent the episode just like talking awesome about this guy, I think he's just overshadowed too much by his hero version. Like, he's a great include if you're going to be running rich on lore resources and you want an extra ally. I think that he's good. But like, I just don't, what do I want to say? I just don't use him all the time. And like, I think he's good. I don't know. Like, I think I think the card itself is designed well. I just think that this is a case where his hero overshadows his ally usage.
Unlike Faramir, where his ally overshadows
Right,
his hero.
and that's what happens is that people run the risk when you have multiple versions of the same person in the card pool. You run the risk of one overshadowing the other, and so with Elrond and Vilya being so powerful, hero Elrond and Vilya being so powerful, yes, you could put Vilya onto this version of Elrond, for whatever reason you would want to, but then it goes away after a turn. It just doesn't this Elrond is good for what it is, but I think it makes it more nichey. And so, I think that's what, because he becomes a little more nichey, I was going to go with a 6, but I think he's just going to be a middle of the road 5 for me. I think he's a little bit better than not, I think he's going to be looked at, but I just don't think he's going to make it into a lot of decks. You know what? I'll stick with a 6. Haters can hate. So,
well, funnily enough, I already put it in as a 6 for you.
There it is. See what happens when you do this enough is that you get 6 rings. So, anyway, so there it is. There's our show on Hero Elrond. So, everybody, thank you so much, and we'll see you again on another episode of Card Talk. Have a great night.
Do you love the content? Here's what you can do to stay connected. Become a patron. The money collected through Patreon goes into keeping the lights on here at the podcast. We love our patrons, and you can join at many different levels. Visit patreon.com/cardtalk2018. You can subscribe to us, whether you're watching our YouTube channel or you're listening to us in your favorite podcatcher. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications of all our new episodes. Didn't know we were an audio podcast? Find us by searching Card Talk to get access to our 120 plus regular episodes. Didn't know we were a video channel? Find us by searching Card Talk LOTR LCG on YouTube, and there you can find not only our regular episodes, but you can find our bonus playthroughs and other content related to the game. Want to get a hold of Ted, Grant, or myself? Feel free to email the podcast at cardtalk2018@gmail.com.